Good morning, everyone. My name is Fabian Villasenora, and I'm a Customer Success Manager with Skybits. On behalf of myself and the entire Skybits team, we want to welcome you all to SmartTank Training Thursdays. This week's topic is the fourth session, and it's setting up a tank, getting set up for success. Thank you all for attending. We hope that these 1-hour sessions will boost your level of knowledge within the SmartTank portal and help you utilize our world-class user interface to its fullest capability. The intent of the trainings is to provide a live demonstration of available SmartTank tools and features. Just a few housekeeping items before we dive in. We have muted all participant lines to reduce any background noise. If you have muted yourself and you want to ask a question later, you will need to unmute yourself, as we're not able to do that for you. We have allotted time at the end of the training for questions and answers. You may also type questions in the chat as the session progresses. All sessions are being recorded and will be available for playback via our Skybits YouTube channel. Please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Our training sessions will be available for playback, and you'll find much more information pertaining to your business needs there. The areas I'll be covering this week are searching for a new tank setup, which will include a quick review of the hardware available, tank parameter entries, setup and settings, tank calibration, offsets, recalculating tank readings, and setting up a call schedule. So let's get started here. And we'll get started with searching for a tank. So there's a few ways to search for a tank. If we go into the global search section and we click on the drop-down, we'll see that there are 4 options available. One would be using the serial number or RTU ID, using a mobile identification number, using a tank name, or a location name. So using the serial number or the mobile identification number will take you directly to that tank. And using the other 2 options will likely give you a list if there are more than one location or one tank name with a similar name. So let's begin by entering a serial number. I'll use the 9-digit serial number. The mobile identification number can be anywhere from 9 to 15 numbers. So generally, I like to use the serial number as the shortest way to find a tank. Yes.
Can you share your screen? Nobody can see your screen.
Oh, I apologize. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, we got it now.
Okay. All right. Well, luckily we haven't missed too much. So I'll just demonstrate the area that we were working on here that I was describing. So the upper right-hand side, the global search button, is where we can select the way that we're going to search for a particular tank. So the first being the serial number, which I described as my favorite way to search for a monitor or a tank. Mobile identification number, we can search by the tank name or by the location name. And as I mentioned, if the tank name or the location name are not unique to one tank, you'll receive a list of similar tank names and locations. So let's get started by entering a serial number. And I'll use this number here. And click on global search. Just take a moment here. And so you'll see that I only have one item on the search list. And what I generally like to do is to click on the tank name. So this is a default tank name. This is the mobile identification number. You'll see that it says tank and then this 8823 number. So this lets me know that this particular tank name has not been changed from the default when it was first shipped. additional details here that you can see is the organization that this tank is listed under. So this would be the parent organization and the current location that it's listed in. So if it is a brand new device, you'll likely see that it'll say receiving for and the name of your parent organization. And then additionally, we can see that this is tank number 1, which is usually describes a host or a standalone unit. The product that it's currently in, so if it's a brand new device, it will default to water. And again, we'll see the mobile identification number here. So we'll go ahead and click on the tank name, and this will take us to the tank details page. Okay, so from the tank details page, this is a quick way if this device is already assigned to a location and it's already operating, it's a quick way to look at the tank level and the level in inches and gallons, as well as other information such as the signal strength and the battery life remaining. Another method to search for the tanks would be from your tanks list. So if we click on tanks here, and let this go through the search here. So I will apologize for my slow internet here. Should only take a moment longer. All right, we'll see the list of all the tanks and their locations. And I could either scroll down and find the monitor that I had manually entered, which is located here, this 907.030.424, or I could do a dynamic search here to narrow down the list, 907.030.424, if you have that number available. Oh, I think I may have keyed it in incorrectly. So we'll go and try it again here. And I already had it saved there, so I'll just go ahead and do that global search. Once you key that serial number in once, it'll generally be available in that drop down again for you to select. So again, we'll pick the tank name. All right. And so next I'll describe setting up a new tank on the portal. So the procedure that I'm going to outline in this section will be performed when a monitor is installed. So if the monitor is switched out at any time in the future, the monitor will need to be recalibrated. So generally, when field personnel installs a monitor on the tank, they'll either call their administrator or they can call SkyBits telemetry support from the site and provide the tank details. So the section we'll be working from is the setup tab here. And so this is generally available to folks that have these permissions, the user permissions. If you don't have this section available, you may need to talk to your administrator and discuss obtaining these permissions for yourselves. So all new monitors that haven't been assigned to a customer will be in the receiving location as, under your parent organization, and the units will have a generic profile that will indicate that these haven't been assigned yet. So a good indicator, again, would be that you would see an inventory time of January 1st, 1900. That's a good indicator that this device hasn't been used. The fact that the location is showing as receiving for your parent organization, and then the tank name is the default mobile identification number, which you can see repeated here. So let's go ahead and set up that tank. So now that we've selected the tank that we wish to set up, and we've clicked on the Setup tab, we'll be working in this telemetry data section here. So the first step that we want to do is we want to select whether this the tank that we're setting up is a vertical tank or a horizontal tank. The third option we have is for liquid gas, such as a propane tank. But generally, if you're working with fluids, you'll be working with the first two options, whether it's an upright or square tank. So vertical would be for any vertical cylindrical tank or a square tank. And then horizontal usually will describe a horizontal cylindrical tank. Next, we want to enter the tank height of that tank. So here we can say that the tank is 60 inches tall, and that the tank capacity is 1,000 gallons. And next, we'll want to indicate what product is in this tank. So as I described earlier, when the device is in a receiving location, it defaults to water. If your organization has already entered a few tanks with different products, they will be available in this drop-down list. You can see this 90 recreational fuel, default lube, home heating oil, ultra low sulfur diesel, and then water. So if we don't have the product already listed here, what we'll want to do is work in this product text field. So let's say that this tank has 10W30 oil, and we'll also want to know what the specific gravity of the oil is. So I'll put in 0.88, oops, 0.88. And then we'll also want to indicate a fill drain and short fill drain detect volumes. So if what we'd like to describe this amount as is a short fill should always be whatever the smallest fill is that your company would go do a shipment for or delivery. And a fill would be an ideal fill, so an efficient fill for your organization. If you don't already know what these amounts are, then another kind of rule of thumb that we suggest is 50% for a good fill. So we'll use that 500 gallons out of 1,000, and the short fill will stay at, well, the short fill will be 100 based on 10%. Okay, now that section is all filled out here, and we'll talk a little more, a little further down the road about the offsets here. But I wanted to go into this general section. So here is where you will go ahead and enter information with regard to identifying the tank name. So here, you can say 10W30, and you can say, you can identify it as in the warehouse. That will help maybe the person on site to know if there's more than one 10W30 tank, whether this one is one located inside the warehouse or outside in the yard. And additionally, we have some fields here like user defined, keynote, and user-defined B, where you can enter additional information that you want, you want listed for this tank. This would be information that maybe you would see as having value for anyone that's reviewing these tanks or or setting up deliveries. There's also a transport status drop-down button here where you can indicate that the site needs to be called before filling the tank, or do not fill the tank. This would display as a status on the tank, so that if somebody is looking at the tank, they'll know either not to fill the tank or that they need to call the site before filling the tank. Additionally, you can separate or you can group tanks by region and route. Here we don't currently have a region and route that has been set up for this tank. And if you are not already using these two fields, you can create one by entering the name here. So for region name, you could say, let's say Skybits Chicago. And for route, you can say south. And we can go ahead and save that. So now that I've saved that, there's a couple of changes that have taken place. One is the 10W30 product that I selected is now available in the dropdown for future use. And the region and route have populated into this dropdown as well, which I can use for further tank setups. Okay. So we want to go ahead and scroll down here, and actually what I'll want to use, I'll use another example for the following steps, being that this device has not been installed yet. We don't have information with regard to where it's located. So I'll go ahead and select another device here. And again, we'll click the tank name. So the tank name here is Profit Tote. And we'll want to work from the Setup tab. And one other thing that I forgot to mention when I was going over the tank type dropdown is if you are working with a tank that has a unique shape to it, if you do have a strapping chart, you can provide that to telemetry support. We can create a tank type for that unique tank. And then once that's uploaded into your organization, it will become a selectable tank type. Additionally, the inventory units can be changed from gallons and liters to liters, which would be metric. So once I save this into liters, you'll see that it will change from inches and gallons to centimeters and liters. So it went ahead and converted the inches and gallons into centimeters and liters. So we'll switch back here. If you receive this error notice, it just means there's a time sync issue between the changes that you made and our server. Just go ahead and click this field that says here, and it will go ahead and refresh. and you may need to just attempt to save the changes again. Okay, great. So we're back into inches and gallons here. All right, so I wanted to demonstrate a couple of other functions that we have available, and that is you can add an image of the tank. So here we already have a pre-selected image that somebody has already uploaded to the system, and we can add additional images as well. So we can begin by clicking Choose File here. And so I have a picture of a tank that I want to use. I'll go ahead and click that. And I'll go ahead and click Add Image. And now you can see that we have the original image that was there, and we also have the new tank image that I uploaded. And you can go ahead and click View Larger Image so that you can see the picture. And so this sometimes is helpful to identify the tank that you're actually looking for in the field. Go ahead and click OK here. All right, so this device that I'm working with actually has called out. So it has a more recent call out of today at 1 a.m. So we have data with regard to where this tank is located. So generally, what you'll see is you'll see that device, with a pin indicating its location. You can zoom in to get a better view of exactly where it is. You can select to see a satellite view. And so this one is, yep. All right, so this is using the GPS coordinates. And we can also click here and click on Save All. So this should change the map location to the address that's used here. Actually, let's try that again with the GPS here. Oh, actually, I see what's going on here. Actually, this was a pin map location that is, that you're able to manipulate. I apologize for the confusion. What we're looking for is this letter A to indicate the actual location of the monitor. And now I'll explain what this yellow pinpoint is here. So I was looking in the wrong area. So we'll go ahead and zoom in on the letter A here. And so that letter A right now is indicating here, you can see A is the actual GPS, the last GPS location of the device. And so we'll zoom in here. And that red pin is, I'm able to manipulate where it is actually, and I'll explain the purpose behind that. So we'll again go ahead and switch over to the satellite view. Okay. So the A is the actual GPS coordinates. But if I want to indicate, you know what, actually, it's a little bit, behind where it's actually pinging. So I'm going to say, it's actually right, the tank is actually right there. Now that I have this red pin, I can click on this button that says Set Pin to Current Map Location. And so now we have a a precise location of where that tank is located. Okay. All right. So the other section that I want to show here is the call schedule. So the call schedule, again, this is something that you will need to have user permissions to be able to change. Otherwise, you can contact telemetry support and we can make those changes for you. This is where you can indicate what time you would like the monitor to call. So this monitor is set to call at 2 a.m. and it's set to call one time a day. So the call interval is every 23 hours or so. So any monitor that's set at a particular time can call. For example, when we set it from 2 a.m., it can call from any time from 2 a.m. To 2:59 a.m. So we do stagger the minutes just so that all of the devices are not pinging all exactly at the same time. So that way we free up some server power. So if you do select anything other than one call a day, if we say something like I want this set to call 3 times a day, we need to set this at equal intervals. So at 3 times a day, we can say we want this to call every 7 hours beginning at 2 a.m. So once I make the save here, when I click save all, this will change the call out schedule here. So now it's set to begin calling at 2 a.m., at 9 a.m., and at 4 p.m. If you're only setting 2 calls, then you just need to make sure that those 2 calls are fitting within within one day, right? So if the first call starts at 2 a.m., the last time that this unit can be set to call would be at 11 p.m. because otherwise then now it goes into the next day. So we can say, what, I want it to call every 12 hours. And again, since I just made a change to that field, I ran into a time sync issue with our server. So we need to just try that again here. 2 p.m., 12 hours. Okay, and now the changes happened here. And an important thing to take into account is when you make any changes to the call schedule, the device will not immediately know that its schedule has changed. There's a couple of things that we can do for that schedule to happen or to take effect. One is if there is someone out in the field, they can go ahead and enter or open the device if it's one of our 3G devices or if it's a client device. They can open it and press the call out button inside, and what that will do is it will trigger the device to download any changes to its schedule. Otherwise, our devices are set to look for any updates during the weekend. So again, based on every device has a different day of the weekend that it's scheduled to check. And generally, it's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday of each week. And the device will check to see if any changes have been made to its schedule, and then switch over to that new schedule upon downloading that update. So we'll go ahead and work in that first section that we had started in, which was the telemetry data. So I wanted to go over just calibrating or performing what we call a sensor offset to a device. So generally when a monitor is being installed in the field, what we like to do is have the person out in the field do a manual call out on the device. So on the older devices, as I mentioned, that would mean that someone would need to open the monitor and push the call out button inside. On our new LT devices, generally that's a magnet swipe over the dome to get a new reading. So ideally, the person in the field would do would stick the tank to see how many inches of product is actually in the tank. So so they can compare it against what our device is saying that's in the tank. So in the event that there's a discrepancy, so in this example, our device is indicating that there is ½ an inch of product in the tank. If the person in the field is saying that there's actually 1.5 inches of product in the tank, what we'll want to do is go into the sensor offset field here, enter the difference, which is 1 inch. And we want to click on the update current inventory and submit. So what that box will do is, as soon as I hit save, it will change the gross level to 1.5 inches, and then it will change the gross volume accordingly. So we'll go ahead and click that. So we ran into a time sync issue again here. All right, so we'll need to give that another go here. Click inventory, update current inventory and submit. Enter the 1 inch offset, click save, save all. And these two buttons do the exact same thing. So now our gross levels indicating that there are 1.5 inches of product in the tank, and it has adjusted the gross volume accordingly at 750.7 gallons. Okay. So one other thing that I wanted to point out here is that the section that we had looked at earlier with the fill drain detect and short fill drain detect volume, these are important because they will flag those fills, those inefficient and efficient fills on the history of the device. So when you go into the history and you're looking at the status of the product levels, you will see that the status will show, FD for fill detect or SF for short fill. And if you don't know what these statuses are, you can hover over this I and you'll see a key here. So in this key, you'll be able to see that CLA means critical low alarm and LB means that it's in low battery alarm status. So this tank needs attention for two reasons. One is its battery needs to be replaced, and the other is it's critically low on product. Another thing that I wanted to just go back and show, since we've already entered a region and a route, is once you have a region and route and you go into your tanks here, you'll be able to filter out tanks that belong to that region and route. So that's another way to narrow your search of tanks in the field. So we'll just give this a moment here. Okay, we can click on filters here, and then you'll be able to click on region and route. Actually, I think I had created that region and route in under another location, so I apologize here. Let's go back. So that region and route will be available to filter out under each organization. So if your organization is flat, meaning you just have your parent organization and all you have listed under the parent organization are locations, that's really not an issue. But if you have several child organizations, you'll need to filter through each child organization or go up to the parent organization. Again, apologies for the slow internet here. I'll click on filters, and so now we have that region that I mentioned, Skybits Chicago, and the route, which was south. So, if we click on that, it should only show one device, which is the one that we had been working with previously. And we'll go ahead and open that one again. And I just wanted to point out one other thing here. We did the sensor offset. And so that sensor offset is good for any of the monitors that have a pressure sensor that comes as part of the device. So right now the high set point and low set point options are grayed out, and that's because the device already has a pressure sensor built into it. But if you are working on a device such as an uplink, where you're using a third-party sensor connected to our device, then you'll be able to set the low and high set point based on the 4 to 20 milliamp range of that device. All right. Well, I think that just about covers what we were going to go over. So I will now go ahead and open up the floor for questions. And I think, Ira, if you can maybe read out any questions, we can go over them.
I am here, so thank you for attending today. If you have any questions, please feel free to either raise your hand or hit the question button in the control console on your desktop, or you can simply type your question into the question section of the webinar. And we'll go ahead and read those out. So right now, I don't see anyone with questions raising their hand, but we did have a question come in over online and asking if all tanks have GPS. It was answered, and basically it's all of our Series 90 and 95 monitors do have the ability to have GPS turned on, but there's a fee per monitor to turn that on. So you would need to check back with your account manager or your account team for that pricing.
Yes, and one other thing that I didn't mention when I was going over the GPS and the call schedule is that those two, enabling those, the additional calls or GPS may affect your rate plan. So you definitely want to speak to your administrator or call telemetry support, to find out, how those changes will impact the rate plan, or if it will.
The next question just came in. What does the sensor offset do, or what is the purpose of it?
So the sensor offset is, so the purpose of it is just to calibrate the device. If there is a discrepancy between what the person in the field is saying is in the tank and what our device is showing. So generally, the devices are pretty close, but there are some things that could could impact the difference. So if there's a slight lean on the tank, or if perhaps we don't have the exact specific gravity of the unit, our device may be off because it is using the information that we're providing to calculate the inches. So the more accurate we can be in getting the tank height and capacity, as well as the specific gravity, then the more accurate the readings should be.
Okay. How much inventory history is available?
Oh God, I don't know exactly the limit, but I mean it will go back years.
Okay.
I can answer that if you don't mind. This is Allison. I'm with the customer service team. So the history is, I don't want to say it's unlimited, but it depends on the date range you entered on the history tab. So that defaults to about 30 to 35 days, from the last call out. So that would be, for instance, today, and it would go back 35 days. However, if you change that to, just as an example, June 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, it will load that history. It could take a while depending on how long you want to run it. And depending on your date range, we always suggest or recommend uploading that history to Excel. There should be a button on the history tab where the history records are listed. On the top right corner, towards the top right corner, there should be a button that says export to Excel or something along the lines of that. But like I said, I don't want to say unlimited, but it does go back a while.
Okay. Thanks, Allison. All right, got another question that's came in. We have a different training for setting up email alerts being sent to a specific person on the organization. So you're probably talking more about the hierarchical setup of the administrative section, which I believe, was that session 1 or session 2?
No, Ira, this is Craig, and that will be in an upcoming session when we talk about, I think it's the next session actually, when we talk about tank alarms, defining the alarms, and selecting email recipients and that sort of stuff. So yes, we will be doing that session.
Yep, that is the next session on February 18th.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys. So yes, come on, register for next week, and we'll get those answers for you. Any other questions? You guys have been great. This questions have been great as well, so we appreciate it. I am not seeing any other questions at this time, Fabian. So you can go ahead and kind of wrap up, let everybody know what's coming next week, and we'll go from there.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm sorry, did someone have a question?
No, it's all you. Go ahead.
All right, if there are no more questions, we do value your feedback and appreciate if you take a moment following the webinar to fill out a survey. It'll only take about 2 minutes. It's very valuable information, and it'll help our team ensure we're providing content that's important to you and running your business. Thank you for attending our session today. These sessions are about you, our partners, and helping you leverage the powerful tools provided. If you have any recommendations or ideas for future content, please let us know. We'll be happy to put that together for you. And as a reminder, please go to the Skybits YouTube page and click subscribe. Next Thursday, as we mentioned, February 18th will be session 5, and it will cover tank alarm setup using alarms to maximize efficiency. that will be covering setting up tank alarms, defining tank alarm parameters, selecting tank alarm email recipients, location and organization alarms, and more. Thank you, and see you all next week.